Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with Riff from Pixel Game Squad. How's it going, dude?
It is going very good. It is a beautiful day to be alive.
That's right. And tell people why you are here today.
Today we're going to take a look at 5 video game soundtracks, but that are hidden gems.
All right, let's take a look.
Alright guys, for this list, one thing we wanted to make very clear is that these video games themselves may not be hidden gems, but the soundtracks, that is where the hidden gems lie.
That's right, that's right. So to get us started here, I'm going old school. I'm going back to my junior high.
Aww.
Yes, that is the Great Giana Sisters on the Commodore 64. Yep. Have you heard this?
The reason I like this pick first is because this is the one that he showed me out of all that I haven't heard, and also a hidden gem for sure for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's debatable if you're a Commodore 64 kid like me. Well, the Commodore at the time had some amazing soundtracks, and this was certainly one of them, although I think for most gamers, they've kind of forgotten about it. For me personally, you know, everybody has that soundtrack that they sort of remember as a kid as sort of like, wow, video game soundtracks can be awesome. And this is one of them. So just know that this is an amazing soundtrack. It's got a cool title screen to it, and the first level has this kind of backbeat reggae vibe to it. It's so cool.
The first little beats of it sounded a little bit like the Moon theme first beats to me, so it took me to like a real place of warm memories, and I had to agree with you. Heard the soundtrack right away. I was like, this is really good. So, great first pick.
It is. Thank you.
All right, so this pick, when you think of hard rockin' soundtracks on the NES, what do you think would come to your mind?
Not the game that you're gonna pick right now.
Pictionary. Pictionary on the NES. Now, I was doing a live stream a while ago and I had this soundtrack in there and everyone was thrown aback, except for John Riggs, who happened to be in the chat, because I know he's mentioned it before. You guys need to hear the Pictionary soundtrack on the NES. Rockin'.
That is so funny. When you told me this, I did not believe you, and you're like, no. You brought it up on your phone. I was like, what?
It was kind of fun to show a lot of different people today. We were bouncing around with other people in the crew, and we were like, listen to this, and they were like, that is Pictionary?
I know.
And it has like some funk songs in there too, and the guy who actually did the music worked on games like Silver Surfer. I think his name was Tim Follin, and I know Silver Surfer also has a great soundtrack. So this guy brought some killer rockin' tunes and beats to the NES with a game like Pictionary, which you would never expect.
That is amazing. This next one for me is one I kind of went back and forth on. You know, because the thing is, it's a newer game called Celeste, and so that's kind of a popular game.
It is.
But I don't think it's yet the game that people think of when they think of amazing soundtracks.
I would say it's not for sure, because I myself put a lot of time into the game, and I don't think I ever even thought about the soundtrack until you brought it up.
Yeah, and so I was actually reminded of it because a buddy of mine, Troy, he bought it on vinyl, and he's like, oh my gosh, you've got to check this thing out. And I finally just sort of put headphones on and listened to it, and I was like, it's fantastic. So how do you describe it? I mean, I think of it as sort of like 16-bit chiptune-y.
Totally.
You know, old school sounding.
But I think something that's interesting about the soundtrack for Celeste is it's a game that you kind of have to keep going and keep trying because it's hard. And in a game like Super Meat Boy, a game kind of like that, it's action, keep you going, fast-paced music, but Celeste is like hypnotizing, and it's kind of mysterious, but it keeps you going like in a trance to play.
It feels like there's a lot of thought behind it. It's a great album to put on whenever you're just like having to work or having to think or having to write stuff down or do some research.
Yeah, it's a great like mystery soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta keep going. This music isn't letting me stop playing the game.
Yeah, no, such a great soundtrack. So if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out.
All right, the next choice for me is from a game called Jamestown. Have you played Jamestown?
Well, yeah, when you mentioned this to me, this is going on the list, I was like, of course. I mean, the first thing that came to mind, you know what, I just thought of this too, is like Firefly. Do you ever watch the show Firefly?
Yes, I have watched Firefly.
That kind of futuristic, but yet cowboy.
Yeah, it's like a West top-down space shooter, but has like a lot of colonial feel to it and a lot of different elements as far as the gameplay goes. And by the way, the game Jamestown is not for the faint of heart. It's a hard top-down shooter.
It is. It's so good though. I mean, actually, I have it in some of my bumpers that I show at the end of my videos because I love it so much.
I didn't even know that.
I know, but the thing is, people always ask me, like, what is that game at the end of your videos? It's Jamestown. And so if you haven't played this, if you love top-down shooters, it's one of the best. It's definitely in my top 5 of all time.
And for me, the way it looks visually besides soundtrack is kind of like if Chrono Trigger graphic designs made it into a top-down shooter. But the soundtrack is so like orchestrated and warm. To me, it's like if the Super Nintendo took some of those RPG songs they had and like HD put them on like a PS4 console or whatever you're playing on. To me, it's like beautiful and all these different elements. I mean, it's one of the things that stood out to me the most besides the gameplay upon playing it. Most of the times I notice gameplay, then soundtrack.
Yeah.
That game I was like, wow, this soundtrack is kicking my butt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. So you just touched on something that I wanted to mention in my last pick here.
Stole your thunder.
Well, you basically, cemented an idea that sometimes games, the gameplay and the soundtracks are separate.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's so much a part of it that you can't imagine them not there.
Yeah, I get that.
And so for me, Bastion is a game that absolutely has to have its soundtrack to go along with it because it's such a big part. It's a character of the game itself.
And I love that you have it on vinyl.
And I have it on vinyl, I know. And honestly, I don't actually collect a lot of game soundtracks on vinyl, but this is one that I actually, when I saw it, I was like, I have to own that.
It was a great piece to listen to last night. We started listening to it kind of just out of the blue.
Yes.
But before we knew it, we ended up kind of hanging out the whole night with that as like our conversation music. And it really, I'll be honest, I was like talking to him like, I feel like I'm thinking better with this music on. It made me more like intellectual or something. It had like this weird hypnotizing thing in my brain.
Yeah, well, it's a really cool soundtrack, and it reminds me of Jamestown a little bit in that it mixes genres. And so
say that,
this has a lot of acoustic instruments, so like acoustic guitar, almost kind of like cowboy music a little bit. It kind of reminds me a little sometimes of like a Clint Eastwood soundtrack, but they mix in hip hop beats or trip hop beats.
Yep, trip hop.
They also mix in Middle Eastern sound, like
that's what I was going to say. I noticed a little bit of that Middle Eastern vibe, which I love when games can properly throw in Middle Eastern vibes. That definitely did it very well.
Absolutely. And it matches the game because the game is actually like an action kind of RPG is how I would normally describe it, but it's also, its time is not set. It feels like it's far in the future, but you're not really sure.
I love that.
And so this is a soundtrack again that I just, it has to be there. I could never play this game with the music off because it wouldn't feel right.
You need the music.
You need the music. You have to check out the soundtrack for Bastion if you haven't already. So, dude, we blew through. Blew through.
There's so many though.
Well, we had more.
We had there's a never-ending list of great hidden gem soundtracks.
Yeah, hidden gem soundtracks. And that's the key though, is that we really wanted to come up with something that wasn't Mega Man 2, the things that you normally think of.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to hear like in the comments. Yes. It's always fun to look in the comments and dig through because you'll get your Pictionary recommendations where you're like, come on.
Yeah, that can't be right.
give us your most like quirky one that will blow our minds when we read it.
And also too, don't you feel like that soundtracks are finally, video game soundtracks are finally starting to get their due? They're starting to, people like us are starting to collect them, listen to them, put them in the background, and it's a part of our experience, it's part of our upbringing, and we want to carry that with us.
Absolutely. We were looking at some vinyls earlier today in a store where there's just Contra 3 and all these different soundtracks and vinyl. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew I wanted to collect for this until I saw this. So
definitely let us know down in the comments what are some of the video game soundtrack hidden gems that because I know we will probably do a part 2 or part 3. I don't know, we could keep going.
There's plenty.
There's no shortage.
Let's do them. Yeah.
All right, dude, so where can people find you on the internet?
Pixel Game Squad, anywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like game hunting videos, we like to say that we do them well. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.
See you guys.
You know what else has a pretty awesome soundtrack that not a lot of people know about? Shivers 2. Yeah. Bet you didn't see that one coming, did ya? Game also has some pretty awesome acting, if I do say so myself. I'm just saying, for talking about hidden gems, might want to check out Shivers 2. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.